Happy Friday, Lego fans. Happy Friday, Lego YouTubers. Happy Friday, Lego casuals. Happy Friday, everyone loves Lego and building things. Um, I've got a table full of Lego Speed Champions and one not Speed Champion. Also, it's fine if you're not watching on Friday. It could be Happy Saturday. It could be a Happy Monday, whatever happy day you want it to be. Welcome to my channel. Senor Bric back to you with a cool collection overview. So what I wanted to do this week is I wanted to look at my Lego Speed Champions collection, and I wanted to, in particular, see how one car, the newest addition, one of the newer additions to Lego Speed Champions collections, that's a Lego Ferrari F40, and how we could compare that against a newest member on the block that's not Lego, and that's the Maserati MC20 produced by the Mattel Bric shop. So what I'm gonna do today is I'm gonna compare these two, and then I'm gonna dive into the Lego Speed Champions collection and just kind of, talk about cars I like, cars I don't, where I started collecting, how far these cars have come along, and what cars I want to see in the future. So thank you all for being here on this Friday or not Friday, depending when you're watching this video. Hope you all had a great week. Hope you all looking forward to the weekend, or the other way around. You had a nice weekend, you're looking forward to the week. Either way, if you like this video, make sure, if you like the content on my channel, make sure you like, comment on the videos. If you also want to continue supporting this channel, please make sure you stay subscribed. It's free to stay subscribed to the channel, so it doesn't cost anything to you. Brings happiness to me if you stick around and watch my videos. So let's get started. Before diving into the comparison of the two cars, I wanted to look at the two boxes and other boxes that I recently built, but let's focus on the two. So we have the Ferrari F40 Lego set 76934. This was of course released in the past year, so it's a newer set. It's listed as a 9 plus, 318 pieces. I believe the price point is now $26, $26.99, something like that. You guys can fact check me in the comments if anybody knows better. I'm kind of doing this off my memory right now, so I know it's around there. It used to be $20 when COVID started, so it's come a long way. So traditional Speed Champions box, you see in the background, there's an Italian village. Obviously Ferrari's an Italian brand, so they did a nice cool little background. And then the newest member on the block, which is the Hot Wheels branded Mattel Bric shop Maserati MC20. So this is really cool, and this comes with 250 pieces, 10 plus instead of 9 plus. So they're telling you to wait an extra year before you can start building these. Lego's letting you build them a little earlier. For Mattel, they're saying hold off until you're double digits and then you can start building it. I thought it was quite funny. So they're saying it's a 132 scale car, and as you can see, size wise on the table, they're about the same, the Speed Champions and the Bric shop car. One thing that I like about this Maserati, which is different from any Speed Champions car that Legos produces, of course it comes with a Hot Wheels collectible. So we see this Maserati MC20 in Hot Wheels form, all metal. This is all metal. The windshield is plastic, but the body is metal. It's got standard wheels. It doesn't have the real rider wheels. Of course, the Mercedes they did, the one with the gold wing doors, the Mercedes-Benz, the classic sports car, that one had real riders, but that was a more expensive set. So if you're into the world of collecting Hot Wheels, they have the premium Hot Wheels and the more basic Hot Wheels. So this would be in the more basic range. But still, to get a Hot Wheels with a $20 set is pretty cool. Let's look at this Maserati. This car is beautiful. You see these pieces right here. So any specialized piece you see here was printed specifically for the set. So that, unlike Lego, they tried to do more specialized pieces. So you're gonna see a lot of cooler looking pieces because they're molded differently. The tail end of this car is beautiful too. If you see the license plate there, European license plate. There we go, finally zoomed in. Maserati print piece. So the car that's built as is has no stickers. However, they do give you an option if you want this to be a sportier version. You could attach all these stickers And in the instruction manual, it shows you how to transform this car into a race car. But, you know, simple build. Like I said, all printed stickers, all printed pieces, sorry. Look at this. There's a Maserati logo there. There's a Maserati logo on the other side. There's a hubcap for your, where you fill up gas. I'm blanking on that. And the part that I like the most is look how these doors open. So of course it has these gull wing type doors too, like the Mercedes did as well. The mechanism is really cool. And of course this doesn't have as many print pieces inside, but it still does have a fair enough interior detail, which for $20 car is really cool. Like I said, this is $20 set plus the Hot Wheels included. So I think they did this Maserati well. The pieces are obviously different. Mattel Lego, the bricks they use to mold this. It's a cool car. I really like this. Would I be building more of these? Absolutely. Would I be using this to replace my Speed Champions? No, I still own my Speed Champions. Let's see why I like my Speed Champions. So this is the latest Ferrari F40 from the Speed Champions line. We saw the box. Of course, you see the details on here. You see the Ferrari on the back. That's printed. Of course, Speed Champions are known for having a lot of stickers, and it begs the question, if Mattel could produce a set that's cheaper with less stickers, why can't Lego do that? I'm going to leave that out for debate. It's a rhetorical question. I don't have the answer. I don't work for Lego operations. I have no idea what goes on in their factories. But it does make you wonder why there's so many stickers when comparable products don't have as many. Of course, this one, the doors don't open, so it doesn't have opening doors like the Maserati does. So that's a drawback. But the details are a lot more refined. So, and the building experience is very different. So you see, there's obviously a Ferrari sticker right here. There's a Ferrari sticker on the other side. So there's quite a few stickers. It uses these special rims for the car, and of course there's a backup rim that you could use if you wanted to swap it out. You could swap it out for this one. So there's ways that you could customize this car too, just like the Maserati. Of course, with Lego, they're a lot more limited in the pieces they use because they try to stick to the pieces they have. They don't create special molded pieces for these cars. So the building experience is going to be a little more interesting, I'd say. But in terms of the final look, if you want to produce a car that resembles an actual car, you want to have as many specialized pieces as possible so that it looks more realistic. With that being said, this Ferrari, there's nothing wrong with it. It looks fantastic. The headlight pieces are awesome too, how they're built. Of course, that's Ferrari sticker too. So this car looks great, nothing wrong with it. It's just, by the way, spoon pieces for mirrors. That's really creative. All I'm saying is that there are things that Mattel Bric Shop has done well. There are things that Lego have done well. If you combine them together, make one great company. But we don't want that. We want competition because we want them to stay on their toes. So I'm glad both companies exist. I'm glad both companies are doing this. What I wanted to do now is kind of jump into the Lego Speed Champions genre and talk about what I've collected over the years, what I like, what I don't, and where they've started. So since we're talking about the Ferrari F40, I thought it would only be appropriate to start with the original Ferrari F40. And this is the 6-stud one. So now they're 8 studs wide. Lego Speed Champions used to be 6 studs wide. I think it was around 10 years ago when they introduced these first. So if you look at the tail end, you see the F40, still really good detail. You see, of course, the exhausts are not the same. Like on the newer one, you have actual exhaust pieces here. They just have a 2-wide brick that kind of looks like an exhaust piece. If you look at them side by side, they look kind of similar, but this one looks a lot chunkier than this one. This one looks smaller because it was made to fit that six brick wide formula. So it's quite interesting how far the Speed Champions line has come. But like I said, they used to be 6 wide, now they're 8 wide. So it's quite cool where they are today. Another 6 wide that I have from back in the days that I really like is this Porsche 911. This beautiful white Porsche, whatever your preference is. Of course, this has the driver inside, cool front detail. You see the Porsche logo on there. See if it zooms in. There we go. The tail end's beautiful with a spoiler too. And there's a Porsche turbo This is a turbo version. Of course, there's a turbo in the Targa, which we built recently in the larger scale version. So that's all nice and everything. Again, it's so surreal to look at these older speed champions, the 6 wide ones, and see how far they've come today. I'm looking around the table to see if there's a comparable Porsche today in the 8 wide version. I'm struggling to find one, unless it wasn't produced. Maybe I'm mistaken. Let me know if I'm missing something. But let's move on to the next 4 wide that came during that time. And this was, of course, this classic Ford Mustang. Look at this beauty. This is 6 wide too. So this is usually the older Lego techniques. Lego building techniques is a lot more simplistic. A ton of stickers still. They haven't gone away from that formula. They've done stickers in the past. They're still doing stickers. So you still see a lot of the stickers on here. I still think it looks great. The Mustang logo on the front looks fantastic. They got the details right. But they have come a long way. And why I'm saying that is just this year they produced the Ford Mustang Dark Horse. And look at the difference. I mean, size-wise, obviously you're going to see a difference because one is 6 wide, one is 8 wide. But look at the level of detail on this one. You see the front grille. Looks a ton more detail on this one. The building techniques, if you put them side by side, these look like 2 different cars. And they're from 2 different eras. This is obviously a more classic Mustang from, the previous century. This is a modern take on the Mustang. But the difference is quite stark. And of course, the tail end, the building techniques on the new tail end, on the new Mustang tail end are phenomenal. You have the exhaust tips right here too. This one uses more simplistic technique for the exhaust tips. Looks like the pieces that you would use to create like a light fixture. Both are cool in their own way. I like how this one for tail lights, you use the 1x circular bricks to create that illusion of illuminated tail light, and here we just use a sticker. So you see a sticker. So it's quite nice to see these cars evolve from a 6 wide to an 8 wide format. I definitely like that. Trying to think of another car that was that has evolved over time. Also, there's of course the Camaro, the old school Camaro. So this was, by old school I mean the 6 wide, not an actual old school. This is a newer model Camaro. This is from like 2010s. Can't pinpoint the year right now, but if you know. If you're watching this and you know the exact year of this Camaro, you can put it in the comments. Like I said, I'm not working with any source material. I'm just kind of going through my collection. Has this massive fuel canister attached to it, which is kind of cool. And of course, the reason why I bring this one up is because I've actually recently built a new Camaro, and this is an 8-side one, and this is also from one of the newer releases. So here they look a lot more closer, and because maybe the cars are closer in years than the 2 Mustangs, but you still see a difference in size. And in terms of the shaping, I think they got both pretty spot on. And of course, what I don't like is the back is fully stickered for both sides, so you don't have any actual taillights built out. They're all stickers. I don't know, Lego, if you're listening, but we need to do something about it. We need to reduce the amount of stickers. I get the sponsors need to be stickers, that's totally fine. But a lot of the print pieces, like the tail lights or the front lights or some of the smaller pieces, they could be printed. They don't have to be stickers, in my opinion. Happy to disagree, agree to disagree. Another 6 wide car that moved to 8 wide is this SRT Challenger, Dodge SRT. I know they just released this in 8 wide form in August. I have not gotten it yet. I will get it eventually, so please bear with me. But what I do have is Dom's Charger, and this was Lego's, I think, first foray into movie cars. So this, this is probably the close comparison I would have for this. Of course, the SRT is a Challenger, and right? Is that a Challenger? This is a Challenger, and this is a Charger, so they're not quite the same, but for comparison purposes, until I get the new Challenger, and I think it's also yellow, which is ironic, I'll compare it to this Charger. So again, front end, this one's printed, this one's built out, use cool techniques. The framing of the front using the light gray tiles is really great. You see the engine piece right here, so that's a nice touch. Side by side, you see how much larger this one is. And then of course the tail end on a Charger looks spectacular, and this Challenger, it looks nice, but compared to how far they've come with this charger, it's it's day and night. This is one of my favorite Speed Champions cars, by the way. I love the Fast and Furious franchise. I know they've dragged it on forever, but I still love every movie they produce. So it's a nice car too. And since we're talking about movie cars, can't talk about movie cars without mentioning the Aston Martin DB5 from the James Bond movie. Of course, this car is produced in a larger scale too, and I could do a review of that as well if you guys like. This one's really cool. I think they got the proportions right on this one. The color is great, and of course it comes with a James Bond minifigure right-hand drive. As you guys know, in the UK they drive on the right hand. This is a UK-based car, Aston Martin. Yeah, of course this has a lot of stickers too. I wish the grille piece in the front was printed or brick built rather than a sticker, but it does not take away from this car, so it's still cool looking Speed Champion collectible. Other 4-stud wide cars they produce over the years, of course, there's the Ferrari Scuderia. This is a race version of Ferrari Scuderia. Of course, it is a race version. Why would I even say that? You guys already know it's a race version. This is cool. Again, more simplistic techniques. I don't have anything comparable. I guess from a recent release is the Ferrari F40 Competizione. I think it's a nice, really well built car. You can see the front. I think they nailed the front sticker. I think that's a sticker. The Ferrari grille, I think that's a sticker piece. But it looks really great. And then of course you see these side by side, and then the tail end. Of course, this one has a spoiler, this one does not. But this tail end of this newer one looks phenomenal, if you can see that. Yeah, so I think the Ferraris have come a long way too. And another 4x4 wide stud. Oh, of course, I forgot there was a 4 wide stud Challenger too. So they done the Charger, not Challenger. What am I saying? So this would be a more natural comparison to the Dodge Charger. Here we go. Now we're talking. Okay, so now we're talking side by side. So you see how much wider it is. And then if we look at the tail end, they've definitely come a long way with the building techniques. Not to say that the old tail end doesn't look great. It does look right for its era of Lego builds. I do like the striping on this one better. This one does not have the striping. I think if it had the stripe, it would add to it nicely. But of course, this one's based on a movie, and this one, I think is just based on a regular Dodge Charger. So that's kind of nice. I was going to talk about McLarens. So I think another car that's come a long way is the McLaren. And I don't remember the exact... McLaren Senna, of course. McLaren Senna GTR. This is the sportier version. I think this is one of the better built 6 wide stud cars. It doesn't have as many stickers. The coloring is really good. The spoiler is built out well. The techniques are great. And then, of course, if we're looking at modern day comparisons, there is not a straight comparison, but there is this McLaren video game car. So if you've seen this in video games, I don't remember if it's Forza or another video game. You could let me know. It might be Forza, it might be Gran Turismo. It might be Gran Turismo now that I think about it. This is, of course, a concept car. It's not a real car, but it's much wider. The proportions are a lot bigger, and then the tail end looks really cool too. Of course, if we're talking about McLarens, I can't skip over the classic, the McLaren F40. This thing is beautiful. Of course, if you've seen the Wolf of Wall Street movie, this car appears in that movie as well. No, not this car. What I'm saying, the Countach. This car appears in other movies. I'm sorry, got them confused a little bit. I have the Countach too. We're gonna talk about it. But yeah, the F40 is an iconic McLaren car, and I'm glad Lego did it in this 8 wide format. You see that the front. Of course, there's a sticker here, but the lights are not sticker. Those are actual pieces there, so it looks great. The tail end looks spectacular. I think they nailed this spot on. It's easy to say they nailed it because it's a very boxy back end, like it is for the Dodge Charger, and of course because Lego is such a boxy form of build. When you build anything with Lego, like it's easier for them to do the boxy builds rather than the curved builds because of the nature of the bricks. So it's it's probably a lot easier for them to nail these. And since I already started talking about the Countach, I might as well bring this up. This Countach is absolutely fantastic. The white color is perfect. This thing is great. Of course, it's a classic Countach. I wish they would do the newer one. There was a newer Countach that came out. I hope they could do that, but nothing wrong with the classic. This thing is like a fine wine. I think this was a 80s version Countach. The exhaust tips are great on this too. I think they've done a great job. It doesn't have too many stickers, which is nice. That's what I enjoy a lot about this build. It doesn't have any stickers, so that was quite enjoyable. And since we're comparing Dodges, I figure I'd bring back this new Challenger. Of course, this was part of a 2-pack. Trying to remember what the other one was in a 2-pack, but the details on this are fantastic. Purple color, got a driver in. Of course, it's not based on any movie, but it could easily be from a Fast and Furious movie. They got this car spot on. The hubcaps on the wheels, inside the wheels, are great too. So it's a fantastic car. Other notable mentions, there's the Porsche race car. Of course, this is a Formula One Porsche car. This is before they started doing the Formula One partnership, so this was spot on version of the Porsche. I forgot the exact number on this. If you remember, you could please remind me. And of course, if we're talking about Formula One cars, since we're right into Formula One, I have to bring up this newer McLaren that was part of a wave right before Formula One. So again, a newer wave now related to Formula One. I did not get the Formula One set. I know there was like 12 of them. I'm still thinking whether I want to add it to my collection, but this build was really great. I really enjoyed it. So Formula One, the building techniques are fantastic, and I think the shaping of the car is great, and they got the look of it nailed. But again, because it's a Formula One car, there's going to be 300 sponsors on it, so there's going to be 300 stickers on it. So if you are trying to build these and you're looking forward to building this, be prepared to put a lot of stickers on. And then, of course, there's the Jaguar Type E Formula One. This was part of a 2-pack that came with the Jaguar Pace E SUV. Of course, the coloring on this is great. It's like a nice teal color. And I think they nailed this SUV more than they nailed the Formula E car. But, you know, everyone has their own taste and preference. I think this Jaguar SUV just looks so cool. I really like that. Of course, no Speed Champions collection is complete without some BMWs. So we got the M Motorsport Formula M. Since we're talking about Formula One cars, this is the race car that is used on the track. Really nice looking. Almost looks like a concept car too, like that McLaren concept that I covered. It's really cool. And since we're still talking about McLarens, what about this McLaren? McLaren Elva, beautiful car. It kind of looks weird without the windscreen because of the way this car is in real life, but it's a cool collectible, so I definitely like it. And of course, since talking about BMW M4, Kangaroo One M4 has a modern day looking grille where it's kind of split down the middle. I know some people will have split opinions on that, like the grille split, opinions are split too, but this is a fantastic build. I've always wanted them to do more BMWs because I'm a big BMW fan, and I think they did this right. And this, of course, came after the big BMW bikes, so it's been some time. Can't go without mentioning this beautiful Lamborghini. Can't remember what this one is. Is this the Huracan? No, I might be wrong. I have to look this up, but this beautiful black Lamborghini, I think they nailed this. Look at the back end with the exhaust pipes. I think this car is fantastic. Another great addition to any Lego collection. And of course, there's also the Mercedes-Benz one AMG. This thing is great. I forgot when I even built this. This is so old. It's a very old car. In terms of Lego releases, because they've released so many cars since. It looks fantastic. One brand that we haven't covered a lot of is Audi, and this is of course the Audi rally car, the Quattro. Car used mostly in rallies. If you've ever seen rally racing, it's really fun. It's, you know, in the middle of a desert, there's a lot of dust. It's great. It looks fantastic. So this car is built for that. Has the cool looking front lights, has the Audi logo there, and then the interesting looking spoiler. And since we're talking Audi, I have to talk about a newer version of the Audi, the one that I built recently, the e-tron, the fully electric e-tron. And of course, this one looks spectacular too. So it's a modern looking Audi. A lot of stickers, but this front bumper piece looks phenomenal. And of course, the spoiler. But my favorite part about this is the hubcaps on the wheels. These are fully printed. So that was nice that I didn't have to sticker those on, because I don't know if I would have enjoyed doing that. Ford GT, can't go wrong with Ford GT. Another fantastic car. The tail end is absolutely spectacular in this. It's a really great car. And then of course there's the Lamborghini Concept. The Lamborghini Concept, this was of course the Vision. This was released pretty recently too, so it's one of the newer collectibles in the Speed Champions line. This looks funky. This looks like a video game car for sure. But if you look at the real car, I think based on source material, they really nailed this. So I really like how the exhaust tips look on this. It's really cool. Of course, I've talked about Aston Martin. Can't talk about Aston Martin without talking about the Aston Martin Vantage GT3. This is a beautiful car. If you ever seen this in real person, they really look really nice. The tail end is spectacular too, with the bottom bumper piece. Of course, those are the exhaust pipes too. So this looks awesome. I think it's one of the most underrated cars, because people talk about Speed Champions, didn't really talk about that car, but I think it deserves a lot of attention. And of course, we talked about Ferraris. We didn't cover this Ferrari. This is an older version Ferrari. Of course, it's not the F40. I'm blanking on the actual name of this, but it looks beautiful too. They've done a good job replicating these. Definitely missing a few that I haven't covered yet, so I'm trying to see which ones I'm missing. Mercedes Formula One. Of course, this came out also before they choose the whole Formula One line, so this is an older car. And I remember what they've done with that Dodge Challenger, and it was this Dodge drag strip demon, if you want to call it. This was the first and only time they've done a drag strip car. The nose of this is obviously has to be really long, so this is really long. The engine details here are phenomenal too. It's a Mopar branding. If you haven't gotten this set, I don't know what it goes for an aftermarket, but this Dodge set is spectacular. It's one of my favorites. It's a really good set. And then I want to say saving the best for last, I think this Corvette C8R, I believe. It is C8R, yep. Corvette C8R is really well built. I'm not the biggest Corvette fan, but I appreciate a nice built car. I think they got the proportionness right. They got the details right. A lot of stickers, but it's a really well built car. Of course, for those of you who are big fans of sports cars, can't talk about sports cars without talking about Toyota Supra. This yellow Supra is really well built. The tail end is spectacular in this. This is also, it seems recent, but it hasn't been recent. It's been a few years since they released this, so it's a really nice color. Honorable mention is this Koenigsegg Jesko. Again, one of the more recent builds. Spectacular car. If you ever see these in real life, they're really great. I hope they do more Koenigsegg's. They're great cars. This is one and only Lotus Eviha, I believe is the name. Lotus, of course, a British brand. Fantastic car. The color on this is great. The tail end is fantastic. One of the only off-roads they ever done, the Ford Bronco. This Bronco is freaking great. Look at these big tires. They're awesome. And then, of course, they got more tires loaded up in the back. And then, of course, can't talk about Lamborghini without mentioning the Euros that they released. I think the Euros came out with that black Lamborghini that I covered recently. This Euros looks pretty good. I think they got the shaping right. The tail end does not look the most interesting to me, but the front end looks pretty spot on. And I think I have 2 cars left. Like I said, I'm saving the best for last, so if you know where this is going, an iconic Nissan GTR Nismo, of course, this car is synonymous with car culture. So anyone who's a big car gearhead, anyone who's a big car fan, this is an iconic car, GTR. I think this is one of the most well executed Lego Speed Champions cars. The front details are fire, the back details are great. But the best car they've executed, I know I'm a BMW fan, but I think the best car they've done is Paul Walker's car from the Fast and Furious movie. Another GTR. Of course, this one is a right-hand drive. I don't believe the other one is. The other one's a left-hand drive. So they've done a better job with this one. And I mean, can you say anything about this car that, you know, doesn't spark any emotion? Like, this car is fantastic. I think they've nailed this spot on. I've seen some people cover the studs with tile so that it's a more flush look. But yeah, this is probably my favorite in the Speed Champions line. So that covers my Speed Champions collection. I know I was rambling on for a while, so I hope you enjoy my ramble about Speed Champions cars. It's quite a few here, and I'm sure there's a few that I'm missing too that I didn't mention in my collection. There's a few out there that I didn't even buy yet, so hopefully I'm able to pick them up at some point. What are your favorites in the Speed Champions line? Let's talk about it. Put some cars in the comments. Let's have a discussion about it. What are some cars that Lego hasn't made that you want them to make as part of the Speed Champions collection? Or maybe you want to see as part of the Bric shop, the Mattel Bric shop, because they could do some cars too. They have a lot of Hot Wheels they could choose from. Let me know what your thoughts are. Of course, if you like this video, please leave a like on this video, and if you're not subscribed to the channel, make sure you stay subscribed to the channel. I got a lot of cool stuff coming up soon, including the Jack Sparrow pirate ship, aka the Black Pearl, review coming on Monday. I hope you all have a good weekend.